get something to drink. Did you make some tea?
Oh, sure forgot. Push the button down. Forgot.
What?
I got distracted.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all file in. Single file order, please. Single file order, please. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the morning message. Happy Monday. Hopefully it is a happy day. I hope that you are having a splendid morning so far. Just because it's Monday, don't let it get you down. Don't let it set the tempo for some bullshit today. Don't do that. Okay? It's Monday. Yes, it is the fresh start of the week. A brand new opportunity to do something different, to do something new, if that's what you choose to do. But let's jump into this morning message. I want to start with a brief introduction. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Alami Bashir. I welcome you into this space. I know it's a little junky back there. Don't worry about that. You're not here for that. You're here for me. Or you're not even here for me. You're here for these messages. How about that? You're here for this wisdom. Here for this wisdom. But yes, my name is Alami Bashir. And I'm an intuitive life coach. I'm an intuitive self-mastery coach. I specialize in helping people reconnect with their intuition so they can make more confident decisions and stay well. I don't talk enough about what I do and how I do it. I talk about a lot of things, but I don't talk about really the impactful power of following your intuition. And that's probably going to be our message today, as I'm just talking that through. But if you do want to learn more about what I do as a coach and how I help to inspire and impact people's lives, feel free to go to begreateveryday.com. Okay. But let me qualify more of what I mean. A little bit about me. I know this is hard to believe, but I'm a little bit shy. She laughs in the background. Peanut gallery back there. It's not funny. I am. I'm shy. Okay? I am a shy person. I am an extrovert person. I know how to project my energy out in a way that allows people to feel connected and to connect with them. I know how to do that. But generally speaking, I'm a pretty reserved person when it comes to sharing myself. Okay. I like to talk about a lot of things. I like to help people and support people through a lot of different things. But when it comes to me being front, forward, center stage, and it's actually about not just what I know, but it's about like me, how I do what I do, that doesn't come natural to me at all. It doesn't come natural to me at all. And in some ways, it almost feels like I'm keeping it a secret what I do and how I support people. Anyone who's an entrepreneur, who's been in business, you know how important it is to talk about yourself, to market yourself, to show people what you do. Even if you don't have a business, we know how important that is, even in our personal life and in our professional life. We know how important it is to be able to articulate who we are, what we do, and how we do it in a very succinct way. Whether we're applying for a job or we're, looking for a romantic partner, or we're trying to figure out what our business mission is. But it's super important for all of us to kind of have our mission statement. And I feel like that's what we're going to be talking about today, this mission statement. For me, my mission is to live intuitively. That is my mission in life. I am here on the soul mission to stay connected to my mission, okay? I am here to make sure that I do what my soul came to do, okay? And for me, that is teaching people how to live intuitively so they can move beyond mindset blocks and self-sabotage and all those kinds of things. But, I don't know if you know what you're here to do intuitively. I talked about this before, how some of you have decided on goals and life dreams that really aren't your own. Not only are they somebody else's perception of what happiness should look like, for many of you, it's literally somebody else's dream. For many of you, it's your parents or your grandparents who didn't get to see through a thing that now you've picked up the mantle to try to move it forward. Okay. For others of you, it's your romantic partner who you're combining visions with, and now you are on a trail or a track that may not feel authentically your own. Okay. And intuitively, you know that. And that's why it's so imperative that we are tapped into who we really are and what we really want. And I'll use the word intuitively as the bridge that allows us to reconnect with ourselves. It's like me saying what I want. I want this, that, and the other, da 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 da. I'm saying it, but that doesn't mean I'm embodying it. Okay. I might even be doing the things, making plans and making moves in the directions of the things that I'm saying. That doesn't mean I'm emotionally and energetically connected to it. Okay. And intuitively, we know that. At the heart of who we are, we know our personal truth, and we know if we are happy, if we are satisfied, if we want more, if we need less. We know if we tap in. Okay. And so I want to talk about that tap in process to help us get clear about what we are to do outside of ourselves, what our actual mission and vision is in this life. Okay. Hello, Jose. Hello, Ackman. Good morning. Say hello in the chat if you haven't already. Make sure you like this video if you're ready for this conversation. Okay. But we're going to talk about what it means to live more authentically, more intuitively, and therefore in alignment with your higher purpose. So, a little bit more about me. While I am very much psychic, I'll just say that word. I have psychic superpowers. I know things without knowing how I know them, and I can't deny that anymore. In my younger years, I did not fully recognize that about myself. I did feel like I had a sixth sense about people, that I had a knowing about people that transcended what they said or what they were doing in the moment. I've always felt that. But even that I thought was normal. I thought everybody kind of had that feeling, like they know more about the person than what they're talking about. I've always had that gift. And without knowing, it was just kind of playing out in my life. Well, fast forward to 2020 when I got really interested in metaphysical experiences and psychic phenomenon, and I started studying tarot and really learning to master my intuition through practicing, reading tarot cards. And I highly recommend that. And even if it's not tarot, maybe a traditional oracle card, any kind of oracle card can be a place for you to start. I say maybe not tarot because people have religious beliefs and spiritual biases against tarot, and I get it. Everybody's got their own journey. But I will say that an oracle card, meaning a card that just has images or short words or phrase, like recognizable images, typically. Oracle cards can be, they can be even affirmation cards. There's some decks out there that are really like, just quotes and aspirations. And you can pull one of those cards and be able to glean all kind of messages besides the words that are printed there. And if you just allow your intuition to kick in, to just allow your creative mind and I'm hearing your relaxed mind, okay? Normally if we go into our mind, we go into worker bee mode. We go into think, we go into figure something out. We go in to qualify something or convict something. Like we go in there to do work as opposed to just going as a passive bystander to sit in there and see how things feel and what your thoughts are without getting emotionally tethered or connected to them. Okay. For many of you, this is a challenge, and why you have a hard time connecting with your intuition is because as soon as it comes time for you to, quote, do something, you go straight to your mind to do the work. Okay. And so this conversation today is kind of like, it feels like it has a lot of odds and ends and arms and elbows. But its central theme is centered around really tapping into your intuition for knowing around what you're here to do. Okay. Intuition for knowing, tapping into intuition for knowing what you're here to do. Now, you hear that statement and you might think, oh, my intuition is going to reveal my purpose. That is true. Okay, but I mean like day to day, moment to moment, time to time. Your intuition is always communicating. It's that silent part of us that has a secret knowing without having evidence to demonstrate how it knows what it knows. Everyone has a sense of intuition. We have a space inside of ourselves that knows more than our intellect can ever articulate. Okay, it's a sensing, it's a feeling that gives you knowing. And it's not an emotional feeling, it's not a heart centered feeling, it's a feeling that you can't qualify even by feelings. So it's like you may recognize that you're feeling upset, but your intuition might be saying, go apologize to that person or go talk to that person anyway. Okay. It's that knowing that has no linear logical evidence all the time. Because it's like if I'm upset with somebody and I don't want to talk to them, why would I want to go? Why would I make myself go talk to them? Because that little silent voice is telling you, "Psst, psst, psst, psst." Whether you're listening or not, it's still speaking. You should probably go over there to apologize. Meanwhile, your thinking mind is like, no, I'm standing on principle of what I think and what I feel because they hurt my feelings and I don't like it, and this is what it is. So this is how I'm making this decision to stay away from them. But meanwhile, your intuition is like, you're not going to feel peace unless you have this conversation. You're not going to find the resolve or to draw the conclusion if you don't, go and engage this person. Our intuition knows more about us than our minds can ever reveal. Okay. So it really does serve us in more ways than we can recognize to practice getting in touch with ourselves, or as I say, reconnecting with ourselves, because we're naturally this way. It's only society that starts to tell you that you can't trust your intuition. Vic and I were talking about this morning how animals in the wild, we trust and know that they have intuitive instincts. That's how they survive in the world, is based off their instincts. And we can look at animals and justify that knowing for them, but not for ourselves. For ourselves, we say, no, our instincts are not enough information to be able to make decisions. And I've got to use my reason and my rationale in order to, quote, make sense of what I'm about to do. And that's just a real counterproductive way to manifest. It means that you have to always know in order to be able to do. And we don't always know, which is why so many of you choose to just do things that are easy, low-hanging fruit, even though it doesn't intuitively resonate with you. It's because you don't know what else you would do. You haven't practiced tapping in, tuning in, assess, and proceed. Tune in, assess, and proceed. You don't practice that. So how would you know? How would you know what is right and best for you if you don't tap in intuitively? Meaning go inside yourself, intuitive. Go inside yourself for knowledge and wisdom. Makes all the practical sense in the world, doesn't it? So that's why I do what I do. Is because I discovered that as a life coach, it doesn't really matter how unhappy you are if you're not really connecting with the dissatisfaction of it. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Is every day I get people wanting to talk about, well, I mean, not every single day, but often, regularly, routinely, people talk to me about this coaching experience and they're asking, basically, how can I fix them and what's going to be different? And, they're asking me for the answers to their problems. And I think it's a good thing when you're doing a consult with a life coach to ask them kind of, how can you help support me in getting done what I need to get done? But hear what I'm saying. I'm saying, how can I support you? Not what can I do that's going to change your life, but how can I support you in doing the work? Because the work is inside you. The work is not for me to throw on top of you and now your life is different. The work has to be done by you. Okay. And so that need to really connect with your own sense of pain, your own pain points, your own problems. Some of us are so used to living in survival mode and not getting what we want out of life that we don't even question it anymore. We don't even think it's a thing to want what we really want and to be able to get it. We don't normalize that enough. In fact, what we've normalized is just the opposite, is what I call the psyche of dissatisfaction. We have normalized this mindset that says you can't have everything you want. And so therefore you shouldn't expect it. Okay. And again, intuitively, in our heart of heart or hearts, we know that's not true. We know that we have been given gifts and skills and talents and all kinds of abilities that we can use to amplify goodness in the world. Like we know that. Instinctively and intuitively know that. But because we don't live instinctively and intuitively, we can't draw from that to move forward boldly and powerfully in life. In fact, what we do is we often suppress those things. We often suppress those things, our big visions, our big dreams, the things that get us excited, the things that we're curious about. We suppress those things because if we can't figure out how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, then it's like, what's the fun in wanting it if I don't know if it's going to happen? Okay. So there's a lot to this conversation. There's a lot to living intuitively. It's not just about being authentic, although that's a big component of it. To live intuitively means that we go inside to assess how we need to proceed. And so when we live intuitively, we can start to get more to some of those high vibrational experiences that we want. Okay. We can start to connect more with not just the pain points of not being able to have said thing, but how to activate our own power so that we can get in alignment with that frequency of what we want. Like this is what happens when we just do the small work of tapping in, tuning in, assessing before we proceed. Does this feel like something that intuitively I want? Does this feel like something that is really made for me? Damn what all the ration, the reason, and all the paperwork says on paper. How does it actually feel? How does it actually resonate? Resonance is a real key element of following your intuition. You only know that you're in alignment with your intuition when you have this feeling of resonance, meaning it feels whole, it feels complete, it feels aligned. Resonance means that it feels peaceful, it feels like harmony, it feels ease, it feels like ease in your experience. Okay. Resonance is how we know when something is for us or not. It is not a matter of what we think or what we emotionally feel. It is the sense of alignment that we feel with it. Okay. Have you ever felt, I'll give you an example. In my younger days, I was a little more spry. I wasn't promiscuous, as one might say. I didn't have a lot of people at the same time kind of circling through my rotation. But when I say spry, that means that I engaged in some encounters or exchanges that I knew were not leading to anything good for me. I intellectually knew it. But emotionally wanted to pursue it because it felt good. Okay. And then my thinking mind was like, but that's not okay. But you're going to do it anyway because as long as don't nobody know, it's okay, right? It's no harm, no foul. So I was engaging in relationships with people that my thinking mind would be able to do a good job of rationalizing. Okay. Well, I didn't seek them out. They sought me out and I'm not doing this. They're doing that. It's like, you play all these bargaining games with yourself to try to make sense of your own bullshit. Or that's what I did anyway. But deep, deep, deep down inside, I knew it was not aligned. I was having fun. It was a good time. I had a lot of attention. There was a little social clout attached to it. It was all the vibes. And then my gut was like, this ain't it. And how many times have you had that experience where you're engaged in a certain situation or process and your gut is like, I don't think we should be doing this, or this is not really going to lead to anywhere good. It's like, how many times have you heard that and not listened? And think about it. It's like when we hear the voice of our intuition and we ignore it blatantly, we can only expect that that voice was coming for good, right? Even if we don't want to hear it, we know that it was coming to tell us something that we needed to hear. And so if we don't listen, then there's a chance that it's probably going to come back to bite us somewhere along this line. That's true. But even aside from having the negative implications of not following your gut intuition, it's the lack of alignment for me. Okay. It's the betrayal of your own thought process, of your own knowing. It's the betrayal of your own wisdom that really is the problem. Because when you intentionally go against the grain of what you feel you want and what you feel is right and best for you, you do nothing but create more misalignment for yourself. And what that tends to show up as you over-functioning and overworking and overthinking and overdoing things, trying to make something work only because you're not really tapping into your intuitive knowing for the plan of action, okay? Or for the mission. Like, what am I actually supposed to be doing here? So there's a lot on the table here. Hello, Jose. There is a lot on the table here, okay? So we are talking about the power of intuition and how important and necessary it is in us doing anything. Imagining our big dreams and finding dreams that are actually aligned for us energetically, what feels good to us. Your intuition can help you get to that clarity. Because that resonance, that sense of resonance, someone might say to you, hey, I invested in this business and I made all this money and, I think you should too. And I think it'll be a great time. And I think you'll be, really proud that you did it and da 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 da. Someone else can try to really talk you into something. And even though it makes perfect sense, it may not still hit for you because it doesn't have resonance. And that resonance is how we know that we are intuitively in alignment with it. I'm not talking about, because you like it. Okay. I didn't say you have to like it. Resonance is like, it feels like a puzzle piece going inside of the puzzle. Okay. It feels like it fits there. Even if your thinking mind is like, I don't know, and your emotions like, I don't feel like it. Intuitively, resonance tells you where alignment is, because that's like our high truth. You won't feel resonance when there's still something missing. Okay. You ever go out on a date with somebody and they're like, oh, they're really cool. They got a lot of positive qualities, but there's something about them that I just can't really put my finger on. It's like, even though they're super awesome, great, you can't get to resonance because something is missing. So resonance is our optimal goal in life. It's not, oh, I want to like everything. It's, I want to feel peace with everything. Okay. I want to feel intimately and intuitively connected to everything I do. I don't want to go through the motions doing things that don't matter or doing things that I don't prefer or that don't bring me resonance. Okay. So it's a lot of energy around that, y'all. It's like our intuition is our lighthouse. That's how we know what direction to go in the big scheme of our life and in day to day, moment to moment. Okay. Moment to moment. So learning how to tap into it is key and critical, y'all. We have normalized going against our intuitive wisdom, that knowing that knows what's best for us. We override that with logic and thinking and things like comparison and other people's opinions. And we go against our true knowing in so many different ways that are literally normalized in our society. So we don't even recognize when we're doing it anymore. You ever accept a job and it's pretty good, but the pay isn't quite right, or they have you doing some shit you really don't want to do, but you'll do it for the money? Like, it's so much do it for the money shit in life that is crazy. Oh my God. Think of all the things you just did for the money, but that you didn't have resonance with, and how we normalize and justify that. It's like, well, I had to, take a job to feed my kids. Yeah, but nobody said you had to take that job. You chose that job, even though it wasn't resonance, because your thinking mind told you, I may not get another opportunity. This is the shit we do every day, all day, and deny and block our blessings. We literally block our own pathway to success by ignoring our intuition, ignoring what we really want, ignoring what really feels right for us. We ignore it. They're giving me another example, and it doesn't feel like a very happy example. So I want to caution for anybody who's gone through any kind of sexual assault or sexual abuse. I can only extend my deepest apologies for that experience coming in your pathway. But they're giving me this example of this happens all the time in date rape situations, where people have a knowing, an intuitive knowing that something's not right, something doesn't feel safe, something's a little bit amiss. But because the person is nice or kind or generous or performative in ways that are socially acceptable, we disconnect from that knowing that we hear. It's like, oh, it's a nice guy. He's nice to them. She's nice to them. They're nice to them. And so it must be okay. But you have this quiet whisper that says, something's not adding up all the way. And unfortunately, those kind of situations have ended badly for some of us. Having that sense of knowing, but still not acting on that knowing, which then puts us on a different trajectory in life to have certain experiences that we don't prefer. This is kind of and this is not a moment to blame the victim at all. Okay. However, it also sometimes becomes a super hard lesson in our intuitive knowing. It's like, I knew. And unfortunately, some of us have to catch that accountability of what we know on the back end of consequences that are very hurtful and harmful. So it's huge. I'm on a personal mission to create a social movement around people following their intuition. I want to make that cool for people. I want to normalize people trusting their gut as a lifestyle habit and a lifestyle hack, in fact. A shortcut to keep you from having to go and detour down all of the roads and ways that, your intuition was trying to guide you away from had you listened. Okay. So I feel like these cards are going to speak to blocks to intuition and why some of you don't trust your knowing. You know what you know, but you're not willing to trust it all the time. Okay. It's like the difference between, so like for myself, once I became clear that I had a knowing, it was a big jump for me to start charging for it, to start, this just jumped out. Okay. To start charging for my services, to start charging for this as a service. That was a big jump for me. Because it's one thing to just kind of know what you know quietly in the corners of your house. It's another thing to be accepting payment from somebody who wants answers, who wants insight based on your knowing. And it wasn't, I won't say it was that super hard of a transition, but it was definitely something that I had to mindfully navigate. And when I say it wasn't that hard, it came down to, for me as a reader, I was doing free readings for a while before I started charging. And I say a while, it was probably like 20 or 30 readings. And after 20 or 30 readings of people literally telling me I'm spot on, I was like, okay, maybe I'm locked into this. Maybe this is where it's at. Maybe I got it. So I'll start charging for it. And then I started charging for it. And I remember initially feeling really kind of uneasy about it. Just, this is my mental mind was feeling uneasy about it. It's like, bitch, you don't have that much experience in this. And, and there's psychics that have been psychic their whole life. And you just started being psychic, 5 years ago. Although that's not true. But that was what my mental chatter was telling me. So, when I finally started charging, it was a little bit of a transition at first, not as a matter of effectiveness and utility, but it was really a matter of my confidence and me trusting that that knowing will show up every single time I need it to show up. And that was a really tremendous test in 2020, 2021. Is trusting that that knowing will show up every single time. Okay. And so as I was just sitting here shuffling the cards, the first card popped up in my hand, so I set it aside. And the first card says meant to be. And these cards are speaking to the reasons why some of you have a hard time trusting your intuition. And this is, I will attest, this is a big part of it, is trusting that what you have to say is what needs to be said in the moment. Okay. Our intuition doesn't come with like, real rules and guideposts. It's a feeling, it's a sensing, it's a knowing. Okay. And sometimes, especially my thinking people, my thinkers, Vic's a thinker too. My thinkers, sometimes you have an over fascination with needing evidence to justify what you're thinking and saying. Okay. And this is not your fault. This is how we're conditioned. This is what we're taught, is that for everything you do, you've got to be able to logically and linearly justify it in order to, quote, make it make sense. Okay. So when you all of a sudden just get a download or a burst of inspiration around some idea or project or anything, when you all of a sudden just get this burst of insight around something, it's like you think, I don't know if I should trust it. Is this just my imagination? Is just my creativity at play? Or is this actually a divine message coming through for me to share with this person? Okay. So sometimes that is part of the challenge in the transition to really living intuitively. And I say it's part of the transition because you don't have to stay stuck there. You can actually learn how to regulate your thinking mind to give it, a seat inside your inner experience to where it can sit comfortably while you channel and get from your divine source what is for you to say or do or be. So the card says meant to be. Okay. So a big reason why many of you struggle to really trust your intuition is because you're questioning, is this really it? Is this really what I should be saying? Is this actually what is coming and for this reason? Or is this just like a random thought hitting my mind? It's like you don't know if what you have to offer is meant to be. You don't know if what decision you're making is meant to be. You don't know if you can really trust what hits you're getting on it, because you don't know if that's meant to be. You don't know where that's even coming from sometimes. Those of you who are still learning your human design, you get bright downloads about things that you think are coming from your thinking mind, but really it's your natural ability to channel. So there's a lot here. Okay. But the first step to really honoring your intuition is really accepting that it's meant to be. Okay. It's meant for you. It is meant for you to use. It's not an accident. It's not a blip on the radar. It's not an error message. It is meant for you. Whatever download, whatever wisdom you get that is not coming from your thinking mind or your feeling-centered heart, but it's coming from that higher vibrational place that is nondescript. Like you can't really qualify why you feel it, why you think it, why you know it. Okay. It's like learning to accept what you know and what you feel and what you sense as truth. Okay. Many of you would be like blown away to know how I channel. And not just me. I know this is common for readers of all kinds, as clairvoyant people, clairsentient, clairaudient, as clairs, everybody's gift is different. Okay. How psychics use their superpowers is very different. But I think we all have kind of this universal thread that binds us all. And it's that everything in our awareness has meaning. Everything. Everything. All of a sudden, I'm looking at the camera and I'm noticing the picture behind me, and I can't help but just point in on that third eye. Like everything I look at is communicating a message to me. I wasn't focused on that third eye. I wasn't focused on that picture. That picture is here every day, all day. But right now, I'm looking at y'all and I can't help but focus on that. And guess what I'm talking about right now? Intuition. Okay? Everything is an oracle. Everything has meaning. Anything that crosses your awareness that gives you a burst of inspiration or insight is there for a reason. Many of you just kind of brush it away because it's like, you can't articulate where that inspiration is coming from. So you're like, it must not be important. I'm just looking at this third eye just because it's right here in the picture, not because it's actually giving me meaning to this message. It's further reiterating. It's like those of you who want to go to your mind, go to your third eye. You may even start to touch your third eye and ask your third eye what it thinks. Okay. And your third eye doesn't think, it feels. So that language is for you. It's going to take you right to the connection of what you're sensing. Okay. Beyond your thoughts. Okay. So trusting that what comes to you is meant for you is so key and critical to living intuitively and moving intuitively. When I do these readings, when I do a reading for anybody, anytime, I don't have to have the cards. And the reason why I don't have to have the cards is because everything is an oracle. If any one of you wanted to join a live right now and we start doing a live intuitive message, I'm just going to be, I won't necessarily need to pick up the cards. I know I do that for really you all. I feel like the cards are a little bit less threatening way to be able to anchor some of these messages because it's like, how does she know this? Where's she getting this from? I don't need those cards. And neither do you. Just got to start paying attention to what you pay attention to. That's the whole trick behind living intuitively, is to notice what you're noticing. Okay. To notice what you're noticing. To live intuitively means that you tune inward. Okay. Assess what you're experiencing before you then proceed to engage the world. Okay. So that tune in, that moment of self-reflection, self-awareness, introspection. Okay. And it's non-judgmental, it's non-biased, it's just clearly observing. And again, this is part of the challenge that many of you have, especially my thinkers, is that you want to judge the messages. You want to make sense of the message right now in real time, as opposed to just sharing it and moving on about your day. Okay. There's a part of us, and I do it too. You'll see me channeling these messages all day, and then I'll be like, okay, wait, because my thinking mind is trying to make sense of it as I'm channeling it, and I can't do both at the same time, so I gotta wait to try to process. You'll see me doing this, okay? But it's a lot of energy around really trusting the knowing, like trusting that you have knowing, and the knowing that comes can be trusted. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. It is for you to trust that you have knowing, and that the knowing you have can be trusted. Okay. Woo. All right. Okay, cards popping out everywhere. Okay. So these are reasons why many of you struggle to follow your intuition. This card says accept help. Okay. Accept help. So a big part of intuition is knowing that you don't know it all and that you don't have to. Okay. That it's not required. It's not even necessary for you to know it all. By definition of intuition, it's giving you the indicator that the knowing is already in you. You just have to learn how to, I won't say how to access it, but the card says how to accept help. Okay. This is how you access it. Is that when you want to live intuitively and you want to stay in alignment and not betray yourself, stay in the truth of what you know as you move through life and living intuitively, you've got to be willing to tap in. Okay? Because what happens when we tap in, we're not just tapping into our thought process. It's just the opposite. You become aware of your thought process, but you're not acting from your thought process. Okay? You are actually tuning in to assess what intuitively, what in your soul self feels like the best course of action or the next best thing to say or the next best thing to do. It's like your soul self is who you're asking for help. Okay. When we tap into our intuition, by definition, we are moving away from logic and linear thinking, and we are going supernatural. And supernatural doesn't always mean like, for those of you who are, sensitive to religious conversations and God and people trying to tell you that God is the universe, I'm sure that's not you because you probably wouldn't be able to stand this space. This accept help card is like going beyond your thinking mind allows you to get more assistance. When we say stuck in our thinking mind, we think the help has to come through a concrete conclusion or answer that we can get from that system, our thinking mind. Okay. But when we start living intuitively, we are tapping in beyond our intellect and beyond our carnal instincts, and we are tapping into that highest part of us that knows that who we are at our core is an extension of the divine. That's what your intuition is your soul self in human form, your spirit self in human form. That is our intuition. You are a microcosm of all of the wisdom that exists, and your intuition is the source inside of you. So when you go in to tap in, you're not just like, okay, going to a next level of your thinking mind. You're asking for help from a supernatural place, from an unreasonable place. Literally, unreasonable, cannot be reasoned. Okay. When you accept help, and I want you to see the card. Okay. You see the card, the person's in isolation, but there's a portal behind them. Okay. It's like when you tune into yourself, you are able to open up portals in yourself, portals of information and wisdom of what to do, how to do it, when to do it, whether or not something is safe for you, whether you should go there or do that or accept this offer or reject that one. It's like when you go inside yourself, when you tap in, that is your way of asking for help. That's your way, because we're naturally thinkers. We naturally are going to use reason, rhyme and reason, to try to make sense of what we should do or how to proceed with something. We naturally do that. But when you stop to tap in, tune in, assess, and then proceed, that is you literally asking for help. That is you literally doing the work to vet where your drives and motivations are coming from so that they can be authentic to you, as opposed to people pleasing or pacifying for somebody else's gain. Okay. So why do you all struggle with your intuitions? Because you struggle to ask for help. Okay. And I'm not talking about help from other people. I'm talking about divine intervention. Okay. I'm talking about going to the source, literally. Okay. That's why we struggle. And to those of you who are a little bit more acquainted with your intuition, maybe more than the average person, you know that you have this knowing. And you know that if you just ask your gut, sometimes you can actually get to a confident place of knowing in your decision making. But for some of you, this ask for help card is like needing to learn how to integrate. It's like now that you know you have intuition, now it's like, I need help learning how to master this, really. I mean, that's what I teach. Intuitive self mastery. Okay, teaching you how to master yourself, how to discipline yourself to follow your intuition as a lifestyle. Okay. But some of you will just struggle with this because there's a lot of deconditioning. There's a lot of undoing or deprogramming that you need to do in your own life. Again, all of that normalization of being uncomfortable and being unsatisfied and settling for less. We've got to undo that. That's hardwired in some of you all. That's got to be undone. It's hardwired because you're made to be that way. Some of you are just kind of made to be skeptics and made to be fearful. And when I say made that way, it's like you have some genetic and environmental predispositions to it. And yeah, I said genetic. How does that even happen? Like fear can be genetic? Okay. Let me break down this math. So all this conversation around neural pathways is like how the mind starts to create pathways for new knowing, how the mind accepts new knowing or new experiences. They call those receptors neural pathways, okay? So every time we have a new experience in life, it creates a neural pathway. Anytime we've had any experience in life, it created a neural pathway. And those neural pathways start to play into our biology. Okay. When we experience fear, we experience an increase in hormones, fear hormones. And those hormones start to integrate into our body and start to reposition stuff. Okay. That's why some of our families have like chronic diseases that pass down through our lineage. We think that is about flawed DNA, but really, okay, they're getting into something. We think it's about flawed DNA, but they're telling me that many of the health conditions that are passed down genetically from parent to child and beyond, they're not genetic or they're not biological in nature. Okay. They're social problems. There are social experiences that people didn't know how to process, their feelings. People didn't know how to process or integrate. And so those feelings start literally reshaping our DNA. Okay. Listen, I'm channeling this message and this is how it's coming. So we both getting a whole mouthful. It comes through our DNA. And we see this in human design. If you've ever looked at your human design, then you'll know that you have gates that are activated in your design, which is like how you're meant to be. And you have gates that are activated in your personality, which is the you version you know, and that you would describe to other people, how you would describe your personality. But that design, the gate activations in our design, that energy flow that is a part of us that comes from our DNA, it's like our mama's mama stuff. And, you know, I was talking the other day, I go back 5 generations and I was enslaved. Okay, it might be 4.5 generations. If I go back 4.5 generations in my own lineage, I was enslaved. And so we don't think that the social impacts of something like slavery would factor into our mental and emotional and spiritual and biological makeup. Of course it does. Because those neural pathways start to create a new frequency inside of us. And new frequencies be shifting things around. Things like fear, doubt, grief, worry. Some of us inherited that. It came to us outside of us. Okay. Either through your conditioning or through literally generations before you struggled with that and it lingered over into your experience as well. So there's a lot of energy around needing to learn how to undo some of your programming that tells you that life has to happen this way, linear, logical, evidence-based, as opposed to really trusting my gut, tapping into what really matters to me, what I feel, and being honest with myself about how I feel. It's taking the time to identify the what of what I feel, okay? All of those things really help you to master this intuitive living. This is the level of self-awareness, self-reflection, and self-mastery that it takes in order to really change your life, tremendously. Okay. Oh, one more card. I forgot this one popped out too. It says change your tune. Remember, these are challenges why you all don't trust your intuition. Change your tune. So here's the thing. Some of you don't follow your intuition because you don't want to go against what your thinking mind has already decided. Because the thinking mind likes to try to control things, so it will figure out how to, plug holes and gaps of things that might make you feel uncomfortable. The thinking mind likes a straight linear path with no interruption. Okay. And when we start tapping into our intuition as a source of knowledge and knowing to move forward in our life, it will often tell us some shit that goes against what our thinking mind is thinking or what our heart space is feeling. It will change the tune, and we may not always want to. We may not always want to comply with that change. And so while you may have a sensing and a knowing that is different than what is verbally being articulated outside of your mouth, you know it's there, okay? You know it's there. And so when you recognize that your intuition, when you start tapping in, it actually be telling you to do stuff that's different than what your thinking mind wants to do, you then have a choice to decide, do you want to change your mind? or change your tune? Do you want to change the course of your direction based on what your intuition, the wisdom of your intuition is bringing forth? Or are you going to stick with what you, quote, think is the best, course of action? But some of you all don't want to change, because if you listen to your intuition, it's probably going to tell you no to a bunch of shit and yes to a bunch of other shit that you might be afraid of, or feel overwhelmed by, or not feel qualified for, or feel in some type of way, not aligned. Your intuition will have you out on the leading edge of life, doing things that are outside of your comfort zone and that might initially make you feel uncomfortable. And this is the reason why many of us don't comply. And I get it. I get it. It's not too often that I just go against my intuition. It's really not very often, because I know the consequence of that. Hibiscus tea. So I'm going to keep going. Thank you for this. That's delicious. I'm going to keep going because I got a few more messages, but this is all about following your intuition. And again, because your intuition is what really sets you on a path to purpose. And when I say purpose, I'm not just talking about, oh, that big dream job and all of that. Purpose is every day. Every day. Don't you serve a purpose somewhere for somebody in some way? Every single day. Every single day, we are manifesting and expressing our purpose in life, what we are here and meant to do. So when I talk about following your intuition, this is like day to day, all day. This is like so that you don't turn a right down that quick street and you go down to the next street and make a left, because that's what intuition is guiding you to do. Okay? It's a course corrector. It's not just about tapping into your hopes and dreams and your grand vision of your life. It's a course corrector in real time. Okay? To keep you in alignment with what's highest and best for you. Okay. All right. Like this video if you didn't get a chance already. Please and thank you. Share it as well if that resonates. Okay. But we're talking about intuition, how important it is to stay in alignment with it, how key and critical it is to you manifesting your purpose, and learning how to trust yourself. Okay. All right. Shout out to any of my followers who are alumni at the University of Southern California. I just felt I need to just shout out my USC people. I don't know how many of y'all be watching the videos and whatnot, but just fight on. Okay. Next card says a message to pass on. And this is really for you. What's the first thing that comes in your head when it comes to intuition and using your intuition as a lifestyle to stay in alignment with what's really for you in this life? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this message to pass on card? What's a message you want to pass on, either to yourself or someone else? What does someone need to know? The message I want to share is that it looks different for everybody. How you access your intuition looks different for everybody, but we all have access. Okay. It's like some got to go through the front door, some go through the side door, some go through the back door, but there's always a door. Okay. But literally by design, we are made to tap into our intuition differently. Some of us have to make sure that we're bypassing our thinking mind so we can get to it. Some of us have to make sure we're bypassing our feeling and our heart space so we can get to it. And some of us have to make sure that we're paying close attention in the moment so that we can get to it. Some of us need to talk it out loud so that we can get to it. There's all kinds of ways in which we can get to our optimal knowing. And again, when you learn your human design, it will help you to get more acquainted with your pathway. By the way, quick shout out to everybody who's looking at Human Design in a Nutshell, the workshop series. We have 4 workshops at the end of this month. Okay, we're offering them as a series, but you can take any one that you want. So those of you who just want to get a body graph reading, you already know what human design is, and now you're ready to get a reading. You probably want to tap in on Saturday the 1st, Saturday, March 1st at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Central Time, which is 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern, March 1st. We're doing a group body graph workshop. So if you're one that wants to learn your human design, then I absolutely welcome you to tap into the series. The workshop itself is $99. If you want to come to all four, it's only $197, and it's well worth it, okay? And quite honestly, if you're new to design, you want to at least come to the first two, if not the first three, so that you can get a real foundation and what it means to you to use your energy different so that you can create better outcomes in your life, your career, your business, your relationships, and all the things, because you know how to energetically show up in them. So if that resonates with you, of course, you can go to begreateveryday.com, begreateveryday.com, begreateveryday.com to find out more. Okay. But I absolutely welcome, if you listen to me in these morning messages, you absolutely want to get a body graph reading. Okay. You absolutely want to get a body graph reading so that you can better understand how you best make decisions and how you can best start taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, so that you're not burning yourself out, mismanaging your energy, trying to force yourself to fit in situations that you've outgrown or just don't no longer serve you. Your human design is key and critical to this so that you can identify by design where your blocks and barriers are. Why do you self-sabotage in this way? Like, human design helps you unpack why we unconsciously do things that go against what we know we want. Okay. And you know, if they say if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, it needs fixing. Okay. If you know you're not attracting the kind of partners that you want, the kind of work that you want, if you know you're not the kind of leader or parent you want to be, it's like, you know, when shit is not right. If it's not right and you can't figure out how to fix it, you probably want to go to a next step of intervention, which, quite honestly, human design shouldn't be the last step. It should be the first step, because this is so key and critical in understanding yourself. Okay. All right. I got one card from this deck. There it is. Maybe there's two. Okay. Mirror effect. Okay, as we're talking about reasons why some of you don't follow your intuition, the mirror effect, it's because when you tell yourself you can't trust your intuition, then it becomes untrustworthy. And then you're able to clearly identify places and spaces where, you know, I don't think it's going to work. Okay. This negative mindset becomes like a projection field. If you don't think your intuition is going to be accurate and serve you, then you're going to be right. Okay. If you don't know how to tap into your intuition and you think it's going to be wrong and not serve you, you're going to be right. But when you come to a level of confidence, because you know how to tap into your intuition, you know your human design, you know what works for you, you know where your blocks and barriers are. So then when you start tapping in before you make decisions, you're going to be, life is going to reflect back to you what it is you're projecting at it. Okay, and I know this is something that people don't even believe in. I know many people think that life is happening outside of them in this whole ecosystem that they are separate from, and it's happening to them, versus really your life is a literal mirror of how you choose to think and what you believe. Your life is a reflection of your limited thinking and your limited beliefs. So if you have limited thinking and limited beliefs around the power of your intuition, that's what you're going to experience. And the other thing I'll say about this is, and I say this all the time because I hear it all the time, is people thinking that they're making decisions from their intuition and they're not. So then that question, well, how do I know if it's my intuition? Again, I can't specifically tell you until I know more about how you're made, how your energy is made to function and flow. So when you get a body graph reading or a human design reading, this is what we literally help you unpack. Is by design. There are 5 design types, and each type has a particular way they're made to energetically move in the world to where the world can receive them in kind, fondly, okay? Where the world can willingly and lovingly receive and accept what it is that you energetically have to offer. So this mirror effect be kicking in hard and heavy, especially for those of you who don't know your human design to know how you best make decisions. So then you think you're out here using your gut and you're not, and then you get a situation that shows you that maybe if I thought it out, if I had thought about it differently, I could have avoided this trauma. It's like we find ourselves in situations that are misaligned because we are misunderstood of ourselves. We don't understand that, oh, I was still using my feelings. I didn't notice that, but yeah, I guess I was still making an emotional decision, or I guess I was really still just focused on, the X's and O's, and I wasn't really tapping into my highest knowing. Because yeah, it didn't quite feel right still, even when I said that. It's like, listen, you can minimize all of that confusion by just getting a human design reading. Then you don't have to guess. You don't have to try and figure out, is this my gut instinct or is this my thinking mind? Because you're going to know what activations are most prominent for you. Some of us don't have to really factor our feelings about stuff too much because that's not really how we typically make decisions anyway. I don't typically make emotional decisions based on, how I feel about something. I'm either going to use my thinking mind or I'm going to use my gut. It's not how I feel, because I know my feelings, I'm a Gemini. I know my feelings will change all the time. And I know that. So that's not really how I make decisions about stuff. Something else I wanted to say about that card. So knowing how to tap into your intuition is key and critical. Learning your human design is the way. Is the way you know for sure what works best for you. Card says abundance, okay? As we're talking about problems and challenges, okay? How does abundance come up as a challenge when we're talking about intuition? Easily. Because many of you think that if you trust your gut, you're going to block your blessings. You think that you're going to sabotage your success just by trusting what really feels resonant for you. And you feel that way because you have other people around you saying, make sure you use your head, make sure you make smart decision. Or they're saying, are you sure about that? Are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? Are you sure? And they're causing, you to question and to second guess what you know. This card of abundance is a big reason why so many of you fail to trust what you know. You fail to trust what you know because you think it's going to take you away from something you have or keep you from something you want, okay? And it couldn't be further from the truth. It just couldn't be further from the truth. The opposite energy is intact, that you align yourself with abundance when you follow your intuition. That's the gag. You align yourself with the path of least resistance when you follow your intuition. I know y'all like to war room your thoughts and do pro-con list and do all the things to try to evaluate to get to the best logical linear decision, when all of that extra work and energy really becomes a distraction away from what your actual course of action should be. You think you're making a plan to create and foster more abundance, but what you're doing is you're creating one to sabotage your abundance because you're disconnecting yourself from the experience. Like, how can you have peace when you don't have peace? Simple question. How can you have peace when you don't have peace? Meaning, how can you continue to make decisions that don't bring you peace and then wonder why you don't have peace? I'll wait. You don't have to answer it. I'm just going to let it linger there. Like, why are you wondering why you're not happy when you're not doing things that make you happy? I'm just going to leave that there. All right, moving on. I got one final deck. Is that true? Nope, I got two. A couple more cards on deck. By the way, I appreciate your tips and love donations. If you want to tip my Cash App, I appreciate you. I appreciate the energy exchange. If you want to support our programs, I appreciate that too. And even if you can't join, if you wouldn't mind sharing our web address, begreateveryday.com, with someone that you think can resonate with getting a human design reading and learning more about themselves. Again, February 28th to March 3rd, we're hosting a first round of workshops. You can take all 4 or just the one that you prefer. Go to begreateveryday.com/events for more information. Okay. And even if you can't attend the workshop series, of course, we have readings anytime, all the time. You can do an individual reading anytime you're ready, also at begreateveryday.com. But I really am a fan of like this group learning. I can't wait to do this workshop. This group learning of human design, in my opinion, is the best. And I'll tell you why. And we're still modifying things as we go, and I want you guys' feedback so that we can make it as tight as we can. But I'm going to tell you, after doing tons and tons of individual readings, I am really excited for you all to be able to engage the group experience. And here's why. Yes, in a one-on-one reading, you can get really in-depth and do a deep dive into yourself, and that is important. That is so important, right? Optimally important. So important. However, you don't live in a vacuum. So while you may learn everything you need to learn about your projector self, you've got to go out into the world with generators and manifestors and manifesting generators and reflectors, and you've got to survive. And not just survive, you've got to thrive. So you've got to learn not just your energy flow, but you've got to learn and to understand the energy flow of those around you so that you really know how to show up in life. Okay. So that's my big that's my big thing about learning design. Is I think it's great when people want to get, go down the rabbit hole of learning themselves, but it really does you no justice until you also start to learn at least a little bit, the basics about the other design types around you so that you know how to, kind of stick and move when you're in the world, not just when you're at home planning your future. Okay. So it's a lot of energy around really considering the workshop series. But if you've already kind of, again, acquainted yourself with some of the basics, but now you want to do a deeper dive into your own situation, your own life journey, soul journey, by all means, book a human design reading, a one-on-one. Okay. If you go to begreateveryday.com, go to the programs page. I think it's the first offer, one-on-one human design consultation. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so I've got 2 cards from this deck. And again, we're talking about reasons why people don't follow their intuition. The card says success. I feel like I had this conversation recently. Like I did a live on this not too long ago. Maybe it wasn't recently. Maybe it was a couple months ago. But I feel like we had a similar conversation. I feel like different energies are coming up as well today. But the card says success. And it says, I know that there is no greater goal than to love. Okay, success. So why would success show up as a red flag for intuition? Okay. Because while living intuitively will absolutely put us on the pathway to our own inner abundance, okay, moment to moment, we may not feel the victories as we walk the path of our intuition. Meaning, your intuition might lead you to have difficult conversation. This was literally my real life. After I had my children were probably about 1.5 years. I had twins. They were about 1.5 years. And my intuition led me into my boss's office. This didn't lead me in there. I was going in there anyway for a meeting. But my intuition while I was sitting there had me start talking to him about how I was going to leave my job. And I had not talked about that with my husband. I had not even talked about that with myself. But I was in the office talking to my boss, and, we were talking about whatever. It was a leadership meeting, talking about whatever. And then I say to him, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be here past July 30th. And this is probably like end of May. It might have been fucking June. It was like end of May, early June. Okay. I know I didn't have more than 60 days before. It was really like 45 days I gave myself after I did the math. So I go in there and I'm talking to him and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be here after July 30th. I'm kind of like soft quitting, right? And as I say that, I was like, oh my God, like he couldn't, I don't know what my my outer expression looked like, but inside my head, I was like, what the fuck did I just do? Did I just quit my motherfucking job? I got two babies. I got two babies. And I think I just quit my job. This was literally my inner dialogue. I think I just quit my job. Like it just came so instinctively to tell this man that I was not going to be here after a certain time and I had no future planned. I had not talked to my partner. I had nothing in form of the transition plan, but I was quitting. And I remember walking out like, fuck, should I go back in there and tell him? Should I go back in there and tell him I was JK? Psych. Like, it's the postpartum, bro. Like, I don't even fucking know. But I did. I quit my job. Essentially, it was a soft quit that day. And then, future conversations made it a hard quit. But it was a soft quit. And I was just like, fuck, what am I going to do? How am I going to provide for my family? And while I had a partner, I was still the primary breadwinner and with my benefits and all the shit, right? As I'm holding up the ecosystem of my life with this job that now I have quit. I give you that as an example to show you that sometimes the intuition, the nudges, won't feel like you're getting the victory in the moment. Okay. Very often as a reader, this happens all the time where people will pay me, ask me for a message, and then I have to give them a message that they don't want to hear with some directions of things that they don't want to do. And they're pissed. And they're not pissed at me, but they're like, fuck, I gotta do this. That's gonna be hard. It's like the pathway to intuition is not easy. And that's why so many of us choose not to walk it, is because we gotta have faith. You gotta believe in shit you can't see. You gotta trust and know that it's all good, it's all well, and it's all meant to be. There's that card again. You gotta trust that it's all meant to be. That what's for you is for you. And even if you have a little bump on the road, like a little bit of fear or uncertainty, okay, because I don't feel like success. I agree to do what my intuition is leading me to do, but now I feel confusion, I feel doubt, I feel fear. That doesn't feel like a victory, okay? So that is why many of us don't trust it, don't go there, is because there's not an immediate gratification to it. Sometimes that gratification is delayed. Sometimes we're being obedient to the nudges and the following, and we're trusting and believing, and then we're still not seeing the result immediately. Okay? A prime example. I'm in the midst of it right now as we're launching a new program. We're doing all the things to try to set it up, to make it available for people, and it's been crickets so far. And I'm like, okay, but God, this is what you said you want us to do. So I'm going to trust that it's leading to success. Now, success doesn't mean that this workshop series is going to go off with a hit and that there's going to be no problems. Okay. Of course, that's the goal and that's the hope, but there's no guarantee to that. This workshop series might be the first go through, the first run through to let people get acquainted, let us get situated in a flow and in a flex. So then when we do it again, it will be abundantly successful. But no one's saying that this one, just because God said do it, is got to be, a supernatural affair. It doesn't have to be. No, you may not get the immediate gratification right away when you follow your intuition. You may have to wait. And you might have to wait a while. Days, weeks, months, years, decades, in order for it to all, quote, make sense later. Okay. So it's a lot of energy around the success card and this not being the goal. It says there's no greater goal than to love. Okay. There's no greater goal than resonance. There's no greater goal than wholeness and harmony. Okay. And that's what our intuition will give us. It's like that part of us that be feeling gets resolved. Anytime we make a decision and we feel that little bit of uncertainty, it usually is our intuition. Not just fear. We may think it's a fear factor every time, but very often it's our intuition trying to tell us, well, you might want to do more of that and less of that, or you might want to go over there and not over here. It's trying to give us some refinement to the decision. Anytime you make a decision and you don't feel peace, you got to unpack that. The why. Why don't I feel resonance with this? When you start asking yourself just that basic question, why can't I make peace with this decision? It'll help you unpack where your drives are or your motivations. Okay. Woo. Which can be really insightful and life-changing. Next card, and then I got one last deck to wind us down. The card says guilt. Okay, these are reasons why we don't follow our intuition. Guilt. It says, I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. Okay. Now, why might the guilt card be here as we're talking about intuition? Because, oh my God, I don't know about you, but I hate being wrong. When I can avoid it, I try to be right. I try to do things right. I try to do my best, put my best effort, right? And yeah, that's what I'll be trying to do. When I follow my intuition, it requires me to be very unselfish at times. Meaning I have to follow my gut as the guide, even when my thinking mind wants, or my heart space wants otherwise. And yeah, this energy of guilt often seeps in for some of us because it's like if we got other people counting on us, especially, it's one thing when you're out making intuitive decisions on your own. It's another thing when you got, a wife and 3 kids. Okay. And I know that I have followers who have families who are, and you yourself might be on your own personal growth journey. That doesn't mean your partner is. It doesn't mean your children are either. Okay. It means you're trying to do some things different. You're trying to tap into yourself in a different way so you can create some different outcomes. And you're doing it all for good reason. However, when those decisions and when your experiences start impacting other people, this energy of guilt kicks in real hard. You might struggle to really trust your own intuition because if it's wrong is what we tell ourselves, I'm going to feel terrible about having done this, that, or the other that impacted somebody else or yourself. You don't want to feel guilty for having made a wrong decision that caused negative consequences for yourself. Okay. So this is a normal, natural part of the evolution of growing into your intuition, is recognizing these feelings. This is not a bad thing. For some of you, you don't trust your intuition because you don't want to feel the negative outpour if you're wrong. You don't want to feel or hear anybody's mouth. Okay. You don't want to feel responsible for a mistake that could have been avoided. Okay. That is the mindset of someone who refuses to trust their intuition because of this energy. So the card says, I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. As we're talking about some of the mindset shifting and deconditioning that has to happen if you're gonna actively live this intuitive lifestyle, it's like you've got to let go of things that don't serve you. And telling yourself that I might be wrong or I might fail, like these are beliefs that don't serve your growth. These are statements. This is self-talk that literally poisons your process. Okay. So it's a lot of energy around really paying attention to why don't you follow your intuition, and noticing the moments or the experiences where you readily recognize that you're not choosing to follow it. It's like, no, I think I'm just going to do this because this feels safer. Okay. It's like start examining when those moments happen and how you feel, how they all kind of transpire. Like this is what mastery is about, is paying attention to what you do that works and doesn't work. Okay. What do you do that works and doesn't work? So when you, the times that you follow your intuition, how'd that work out? The days that you didn't, how'd that work out? The day that you wanted to but chose not to, how'd that work out? Like, what were your drives and motivations? It's like a lot of energy around unpacking your drives and motivations for things. What is driving your decisions? Okay. What is driving your decisions? Okay, I feel like that's going to be the title of this video. What's driving your decisions? Okay. All right. Last card coming from this African Goddess Rising Oracle deck. Oh, thought it popped out, but maybe not. Oh, come on. That's a weird ass card, though. The fuck? Sorry. I digress. Okay. So the card I was looking at is this one. It's a baby breastfeeding, but it looks like a baby of a different, I don't know if you are trying, what the fuck? I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what's happening here, but the card says surrender. And let's see, maybe I have to read this goddess. So the goddess name is Iset. And the card is surrender. So let me see what this entity is speaking about. Iset is the goddess of spiritual surrender. And she's most known in Egyptian culture. And it's the cards, I mean, the message says, release control, stop bonding around struggle, hand the keys to the divine, allow spirit to carry you and fill in the gaps. You don't have to figure it all out. God, Goddess has your back. Have faith in where you are at this moment. Have faith in where you are at this moment, okay? This is the struggle for some of us, is having faith that where we are in this moment is exactly where we're supposed to be, okay? Having faith that in this moment, this is exactly where we're supposed to be, okay? The card says, again, release control. So we know that to be an aspect of surrender, releasing control. But it also says stop bonding around struggle. So what's interesting is this is a different kind of psychology of thinking about your intuition. Most of us see it as kind of like this frivolous thing that we could use or not, but you know, it's there or not. But this language of associating when we don't follow our intuition, we are bonding with struggle. Meaning you are working harder, not smarter. Okay. I just passed a sign that read, get right, start right. Okay, period. Yeah, this notion of we're bonding with struggle when we don't follow our intuition. Not interesting. I don't know that that's how we typically see this notion of surrender. Okay. When we talk about the need to release control, we don't think that us trying to control stuff is bonding us with struggle. We think it's just the opposite. Isn't that funny? We think it's just the opposite. We think that when we take control, we are eliminating struggle. But by this definition, and I agree, we are bonding with it. Every time we take control to try to figure out something or do something or take the lead in something without prompting is, man, there's only a certain few people on earth that can do that can have an idea, go forward with it, manifest it, and be great at it. You know, just out of nowhere. There's only a very small subset of people. Most of us Most of us have to align with divine timing. Okay, there's a timing thing that needs to kick in. Sorry, I needed to look at this card again because I feel like it's trying to tell me some more stuff. It was just too weird. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to do some more research on that. That picture is throwing me off. I don't know who this is. Iset? Okay. I'll come back to that. Yeah. Our failure to surrender is the problem. The key to living intuitively is the need to surrender. It's a need to forego what you think and how you feel to really tap into what's happening and what's being said. Okay. There's a mindful awareness that must kick in. Okay. Okay. Last card, Allah. Allah. She's let me see who she is. This African Goddess Rising deck is introducing me to all these kinds of archetypes that I am not familiar with. Allah is the goddess of grief in Igbo, Nigeria. The goddess of grief. So it says, give spirit your grief, bawl it out, wail it out, cry it out, sob, shriek, shed tears. Here's this word again, surrender it. Again, give spirit your grief, bawl it out, wail it out, cry it out, sob, shriek, shed tears, surrender it. The card also speaks to, the book says, you are holding unprocessed grief. You want to skip over it and get back to, quote, normal, but grief doesn't go away because you ignore it. The only way to healing is to walk through it. Losing a loved one is the ultimate heartbreak, but you also experience grief after breakups, job loss, and disappointments. Self-love and self-care are required. Ask for support. Be gentle with yourself. Okay. So the card is talking about unprocessed grief, but grief is not just the loss of a physical person. It can be any transition or change. It says after breakup, job loss, or disappointments, etc. Okay. So when we start talking about intuition and the reason why people don't follow it, it's not just because of, it's fear, but it's a specific fear. It's fear of loss. Okay. It's fear of missing out. It's fear of unfulfilled dreams or unfulfilled needs. Okay. There's a fear that whatever you are having faith for will not show up. And here I'm now introducing this language of faith. Okay. I thought I typed stay right. Oh, okay. Well, Spirit said, what is that? Exactly. It lit. When we talk about it, everything is right as it should be. Okay. Yeah, it's this notion of we struggle really with intuition because we are afraid that we are going to disrupt our ecosystem in such a way that we will not have what we need. Or we won't be able to rebound after the loss of something. And I've heard this before. I'm trying to contextualize it. Maybe it was on Oprah. I think it was Oprah once. Excuse me. Where I heard her talking to somebody about loss. And in particular, they were talking about like the loss of a relationship. And if you've ever been through a breakup, I mean, breakups are just hard and taxing. They're just difficult, right? It's like whether it's a divorce or, or just a casual dating disconnection, it can be hard. And so the message on that Oprah show was something to the effect of, one of the reasons why we don't, let me try to get it back. Hold on. It's something to the effect of, like, when we're in a relationship, one of the reasons why we don't do well with breakups is not because we don't think that we will ever attract another partner, but it's really because we don't trust our ability to, oh, that's what it was. Okay. It was about trust in a relationship. So it was like, the reason why we don't trust people is not because we inherently don't have the capacity to hold space for their behavior. It is because we don't trust that we will have enough resolve in ourselves to rebound after the loss of something. Okay. So it's like, we don't trust in our relationships because, not because we just don't trust that person, although that might be a true point as well, but it's more so because we don't trust in our own resilience to be able to bounce back from that kind of betrayal. Okay. So what does that have to do with intuition? Is that, again, we don't trust our intuition because we think that something might go wrong. And if that something goes wrong, we don't know that we're going to have enough resolve within ourselves or strength within ourselves to be able to rebound from it or recover from it. Like, we think that if we use our intuition, there's a possibility that I'm going to set myself up for something that is undesirable to happen. If I do this and trust this gut, then this potential negative thing might happen. Okay. And so it's like, that's part of the deconditioning, again, is not just trusting your intuition, but knowing your intuition is something you can trust. Okay. So it's a lot of energy around that. It's a lot of energy around us really renegotiating our relationship with fear. Okay. So that we can honor our intuitive knowing more readily and more immediately. Okay. There's a lot of energy around really honoring that intuition is activated by any number of things. It's not just it's not just a fly-by-night experience that you might happen to catch yourself every now and again. It's like, most of us, we may recognize our intuition, but only as an afterthought after something has already happened. Okay. It's like, I knew it. Okay. We don't necessarily honor it on the front end. Okay. So there's a lot of deconditioning that needs to happen so that we can honor it on the front end. Create space for your intuitive wisdom to be a thing that you learn to build trust in over time. Okay. Just accepting the fact that you can hone and master your intuition, even if you're not readily and actively using it in life to make big decisions. Again, I told you I got some Oracle decks and started mastering my intuition by just saying, okay, what does this make me feel? What is this? What's the first thing that comes to my mind when I see this card? Okay. What's the first thing that comes to my mind when I see this card? And like, just really practicing accessing what's the first thing that comes to my mind. Well, you don't have to use cards for that. You can use anything in your environment for that. Even right now, look at my head wrap. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see my head wrap? Like, that is an intuitive message for you. Okay. The first thing that comes to mind when you see my glasses or my necklace. What's the first thing that comes to mind? That is an intuitive message for you. So our intuition is always readily available. It's always there. It's always active. It's always present if we're open to receive it. Okay. But the big thing for many of us is doing some deconditioning work. Is we got to do the deconditioning work. We've got to unprogram some of these hardwired messages that say, make a smart decision, use your head. Did you think it through? Like, these are the things that we've got to start to abandon in our own um, intellectualizing of our reality. It's like things don't always have to make sense, particularly when I'm using my intuition. It's not going to always make sense. I shouldn't even look for it to always make sense. It's not always going to bring me immediate gratification. It will always bring me a knowing, and it will always bring resonance. And again, resonance doesn't mean that you are, quote, liking what's happening. It says it feels peaceful what's happening. This feels whole, right, and just. Okay. Okay. So I welcome y'all to keep listening to these messages. Some of these messages you want to listen to more than one time. Okay. In order for them to really start to integrate into your knowing as like, okay, how does this relate to my life and how I'm living? That is my hope for you, that when you all are listening to these messages, that you are taking them in as evidence, taking them in as a possible blueprint by which to live your own life, strategies by which to approach your own life. Is it necessary for you to live intuitively to survive? Some might say no. I would say yes. I would say yes. Animals cannot survive in the wild without their instincts, and you're no different. You're just not mindfully aware of how you're using them all the time. And we're using our instincts and our intuition all the time. Our instincts is what keeps us physically safe in a place. Our intuition is what gives us a knowing beyond where we are. You're using them all the time. But to learn how to use them on purpose and intentionally to create outcomes in your life is what I'm here to help people do. So if it resonates for you, again, I welcome you all to stay connected. Those of you who are really struggling and really struggling to integrate these morning messages and the themes and the things that we talk about, that can help change your life. If you're struggling with those things, then maybe you need to seek out some support. Maybe it's time to start considering working with somebody about it. And it's different working with a therapist versus a coach. And if you want to have that conversation, for anybody who catches this replay or listening live, if you want to have that conversation around how coaching can support you where you are in this time in your life, I am more than happy to have that conversation. This is what I live for. This is what I do. This is what I do. Okay. So keep that in mind. You can go to begreateveryday.com to book a coaching consultation. Okay. And go to the programs link. Also to that end, again, I just want to reiterate at the end of the month, February 28th to March 3rd, we're doing a 4-part series on human design for newbies. So if you don't know anything about design or very limited and you want an opportunity to get a body graph reading, at least in a group form, I'll show you how to read your body graph and how to extract some of the most important information from it and how to apply it into your everyday life, how to use this to change your life, relationships, and career. I got you. Okay. So again, go to begreateveryday.com. You can click on the programs link, or you can click on the events link to go straight to the Nutshell workshop series. You can take all 4 workshops, or you can just take one. Up to you. It's literally, if you buy 2 of the workshops, you get all 4 for free. Okay. So you make sure you click the right link for that. If you buy them individually, you got to buy them as a bundle. Okay. So you'll see on my page what I'm talking about. Go to the programs link. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you just want to do a body graph reading, it's $99. We're doing it on a Saturday, March 1st. It's going to be at 9 a.m. Pacific. And again, if you just want to register in that, you can go to the programs link and it'll show you. I think that's all I got for now. Those of you who are not on my mailing list, you might want to get on it because I'm about to send out a promo code. I thought I sent it out yesterday and I just saw the mail didn't send. So there's that. So go to begreateveryday.com. As soon as you go to the website, there's a pop-up menu that's going to ask you if you want to get on the mailing list. Do it. Okay. Because I'm going to be sending out some incentives in case y'all want to participate in some of these programs. All right. I'm done now. I did it. 99 minutes later, I think we did it. Shout out to you, Angel. Thank you for joining the live. I appreciate you. Good to see you again. Stay connected, shall you? Feel free to recommend us, refer us to anybody you think can resonate. Of course, this channel, the site, any of the things. We're just trying to get this information in the hands of people who really need it, which is everybody on the planet. So Join me in this effort. All right, y'all. I love you. I appreciate you. If nobody told you today, I love you. Okay. One of my clients told me she loved me the other day, and I just almost cried because it was just so sweet. It was just so sweet. And I know she don't tell people that all regularly. So I really hold that sacred. Um, if you want some reviews on my coaching and what that looks like, you can go to my Instagram. I think there's some links up there. I need to update the website again to put more of the other reviews up there. Or you can just ask me. Able to answer any question that you have. So if you want to book a coaching consultation, go to begreateveryday.com. All right, I'm out. I love y'all. Y'all be good. It's Monday. Make it a great day. Thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you. Yeah, it's Monday, but you can still make it a great day. As I keep saying, life doesn't have to be perfect in order for you to be great every day, no matter what. You just got to make the conscious choice. So choose it. Choose to be great, y'all. Choose to have a great day. Choose to have a great day, no matter what. All right, love. Peace.